As the tale of two Laurent brothers comes to a close on Young and Restless, the stories involving Damien and Aristotle Dumas, and Jacques and Victor's latest feud ramp up. Victor's sure he has the upper hand against the Abbotts, what with planting moles at Jabot and hiring Audra to torpedo Kyle's love affair with Claire. But as with everything the mustache plots, it's a game of chess, never checkers, and therefore gets complicated. Michael expressed concern that the insiders they planted when Jabot absorbed Glissade might be garnering a little too much attention, and indeed, Kyle told Jack that he's suspicious of said employees. It appears that Jack may put Victor in check next week, as he's clearly taunting the Black Knight in the preview. Has he identified the moles and turned them against him? It seems possible. Meanwhile, Young and Restless has a deadly dull version of Romeo and Juliet playing out as Kyle and Claire struggle to forge a romance amid Victor and Jack's feud. I have to say, I was gobsmacked that an entire episode was devoted to this plot this week. Murder. Anyway, Victor's tapped Audra to tempt Kyle and show Claire his true colors, but the real threat to their relationship might come from another direction. Summer admitted she has unresolved feelings for her ex-husband, and as Chelsea and Adam will tell you, the pull to put one's family back together sometimes proves irresistible. As for Audra, I'm here for whatever she does, as she remains one of the characters on Canvas who hasn't gone completely vanilla and reformed, but I hope she's not shooting herself in the foot here. P.S. I love her friendship with Sally. Why Lily thinks Damien has to answer to her is beyond me, but apparently he's bought into the idea, as this week he decides to tell her everything. Presumably, that will bring us another step closer to understanding this convoluted Aristotle Dumas storyline. Given the writer's track record, I can't help but fear it won't live up to the hype, but fingers and toes crossed. Honestly, I'd be more interested in seeing Holden and Damien get their own soapy storylines now that they're on the canvas. Alan was revealed to almost certainly be Martin, as the Laurent brother snapped in the face of Sharon and Phyllis heckling. I was glad they got an audience with their tormentor, and Christopher Cousin's performance was riveting, but there were 100 more satisfying ways this could have played out. We could have had action, for example, rather than just more talk. It also left us without answers to some burning questions. As Nish 414 pointed out on Bluesky, I still want to know where Martin got his information from about Phyllis and Sharon because neither brother was around back in the day. Seriously, how did he know what song was playing when Phyllis argued with Sharon at the gala and fell down the stairs? My main concern is with the idea that Martin lived and Alan died. This does not jive with what we saw play out on screen. They were wearing different outfits at the time of the fall. There is no way that Martin could have changed into his dead brother's clothing and taken on his persona in the time it took for Ashley to run down the stairs and appear outside. That's why I'm holding out hope for a twist. Perhaps they both somehow survived the fall, and Martin took over Alan's life at some point. That way, Alan could be found wherever his twin stashed him, and Tracy could still get her happy ending. Do you think Alan's still alive? Vote. Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel, Pulse Canvas. It's me, Julie, here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching. So let's dive into today's video. We've noticed a pattern recently. When Young and Restless needs something to happen besides Victor plotting this or that revenge, or characters talking business to the point that we feel like we should be on the payroll, it introduces a psycho or two. Consider, we went straight from Ian Ward and Crazy Aunt Jordanum's reign of terror to Martin's. The storylines were so back-to-back that Sharon had scarcely recovered from one kidnapping when she was abducted again. What does this tell us? We are likely to be getting another screw-loose villain sooner than later. In fact, the casting of this role has us suspecting that Ian Ward will be back on the scene by the end of May. But head writer Josh Griffith seems to like making up baddies with ties to the canvas about which we knew nothing. Jordan, for instance, was the twisted sister that Eve Howard never mentioned. And Martin is the evil twin of Alan Laurent, who was such a dear friend of Ashley's that in all the years that she knew him, she never so much as uttered his name. That being the case, who might be next to roll off the big bad assembly line? We have a few semi-educated guesses. With Jordan pushing up daisies, Ian is going to need a new sidekick, someone he can really trust. Hey, why not the adopted daughter that we never knew he had? He could have raised her to hate all the same people that he does and finally have decided to turn her loose. Who'd we cast? Victoria Grace, whose talents were undeserved as Days of Our Lives Wendy. Never knew that crazy David Kimball had a brother. No matter. Young and Restless can just make him up like it did Eve's sister and Ashley's friend. If Howard came to Genoa City, his first order of business would be trying to exact payback on Christine and Danny for their part in David's demise. Who'd we cast? As the world turns Emmy winner Michael Park. Cameron Kirsten may have died as obsessed with Sharon as he ever was, but he may have left behind another threat for his longtime victim, the wife he married while behind bars. Helen could blame Sharon for Cameron's demise and come after not only his company, but the woman who now runs it. Who'd we cast? Krista Allen. Remember Michael Scott, the photographer Victor locked up and tortured for flirting with his then-wife Julia? His son Jason, if he went on to have one, could have grown up watching how Dad was haunted by what Victor did to him. In fact, Jason might have waited until his father was laid to rest to make his move and seek revenge on Victor. Who'd we cast? Kobe Ryan McLaughlin. General Hospital spoilers reveal that a new face is about to pop up in the land of Port Charles. With that said, he's a familiar face to Genoa City residents. That's because the young and the restless alum Daniel Goddard is joining the ABC soap. He'll be playing a new character, Port Charles University professor Henry Dalton. Emma Scorpio Drake mentioned her environmental physics teacher, Professor Dalton, during the Thursday, April 10 edition to Gio Palmieri. During that show, Vaughn also talked to Jocelyn Jacks about her first to the USB assignment, telling her she'd be enrolled in that same course. Sounds like Goddard is slated to play a pivotal part in Joss and Emma's new storyline, so it'll be interesting to see him get involved in the mix of it all. The actor is set to make his PC debut on Tuesday, April 15. Goddard had been hinting some major news on his Instagram recently, and some believed he was making a comeback on the Y&R. Audiences of that soap may recall that Goddard played Kane Ashby, main love interest to Lily Winters, from 2007 to 2019. Alas, Kane won't be returning to GC, but seeing Goddard on GH is still very exciting news. Goddard recently told TV Insider that it's an absolute pleasure to be back in daytime when talking about his new GH role. He also told the publication that he initially auditioned for the part of Jack Brennan in December 2024. As GH audiences know by now, that ended up going to soap opera veteran Chris McKenna. While Goddard got the bad news he wasn't getting the Brennan role, the silver lining in this all is he did snag an intrigue character within another major GH storyline. General Hospital spoilers hint at some bombshells around the corner, as Emma continues to remain tight-lipped about why she signed an NDA to stay out of jail at her last school, and Jocelyn continues on her WSB journey. These ladies are being propped up to take center stage on the soap in the weeks ahead, so it'll be interesting to see how Professor Henry will play into all this drama. We'll have other terrific General Hospital spoilers, updates, and news, so drop by often for more GH info. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal a preview clip has been released for the week of April 14, 2025. It shows Damien Kane about to tell all to Lily Winters, but with a condition. Meanwhile, Victoria Newman embarks on a quest to save Nick Newman from Sharon Newman. Also, Jack Abbott gloats. Keep reading and let's talk about what is coming up in the CBS soap opera. Next week, fans can expect Victoria to catch up with Nick. However, when Nick tells his sister about the plan to accompany Sharon on her trip, she thinks it's a bad idea. Victoria suggests that Nick needs a break. When Nick explains that this is exactly what this trip is supposed to be, Victoria clarifies herself. The brunette tells her brother that she means he needs a break from Sharon and her drama. Over with Lily, she is determined to get to the truth. Victor Newman fed Lily false intel about Damien. It was pretty damaging too, especially the part about Damien knowing for months prior that Amy Lewis had cancer. Damien insisted it wasn't true, but Lily isn't sure what to believe. It would be a lot easier to take Damien at his word if he hadn't come into the picture with so much deception. In any case, Lily wants to know who to trust. She expresses this to Damien, who finally agrees to tell her everything. However, he has one condition. The Young and the Restless preview for the week of April 14 also shows Jack coming up to Victor and Michael Baldwin's table. As Victor sits back with a glum face, Michael cheerfully declares that Jack seems to be in a good mood. The lawyer pushes Jack to share if anything exciting happened today. It seems Jack is all too eager to announce exactly what happened at Jebot, which means Victor's plan must have flopped. At least, this part of the plan. Jack should be careful about gloating, though. While Jack has a victory now, Victor is relentlessly stubborn. Victor will keep at it until he feels satisfied that Jack has been punished enough. If Victor can't strike directly at Jack, then he could start targeting the people he cares about the most, so stay tuned. Which storyline are you looking forward to seeing the most? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Remember to keep watching the soap on CBS or Paramount Plus to find out what happens next. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Monday, April 14, confront Tracy with truths about her past and present, which leads to questions about her future. The police couldn't get Martin to confess. The Abbotts couldn't get Martin to confess. It took the brilliance of Sharon and Phyllis to get the criminal mastermind to crack. Now that he has, Tracy finally has confirmation of all her fears, and she doesn't like it. On the other hand, Tracy is kind of used to life knocking her down. Repeatedly, she knows how to pick herself up, dust herself off, start all over again. But will she have the strength to do it this time? And why does she still need Martin to help her move forward? Jack pretty much shut Diane out of the drama with Tracy, choosing to confide in Ashley instead, so Diane went on with her own stuff. Now Jack can turn his focus back to this marriage, and he has some questions for Diane. Mostly about Diane lying. Was Jack confused about who he married? And why suddenly grow concerned about it now? While Sharon and Phyllis crack cases for the Genoa City Police Department, Nick tries to figure out what's going on between his favorite ex-wives. They're certainly not telling him. So Nick turns to Victoria. Look, don't get us wrong. We think it's terrific the siblings have such a strong relationship. Victor loves to pit his kids against each other, so good for Victoria and Nick for ignoring his manipulation. But Nick constantly whining to Victoria makes us wonder when he's going to grow up and take responsibility for his actions and decisions. The Young and the Restless recap for Friday, April 11, sees Kyle asking Claire to move in while Victoria defends her daughter and Kyle to Victor. Meanwhile, Sally has serious concerns about Audra's deal with Victor, but Audra strikes a deal with him anyway. Kyle and Claire met on the Crimson Lights patio. Kyle told her how much he had missed her since the night before. They shared a kiss and enjoyed each other's company. He brought her a drink topped with whipped cream and complimented her smile. Their light-hearted teasing turned serious when Kyle asked Claire to move in with him. Claire hesitated. Kyle pushed her, but she admitted that while she felt good being with him, the idea of moving in together seemed rushed. Kyle told her that there was no pressure. He suggested that living together could help them get to know each other better. Claire questioned where they would live. She brought up the possibility of living with his family, or even with Victor. She teased him about staying at the tack house. Kyle proposed that they get their own place. Claire felt concerned about how Victor would react. Kyle pointed out that Victor's animosity was more about Jack and Billy than it was about them. Claire wondered if Kyle wanted to prove a point to her grandfather, but he insisted he didn't. He said he was willing to risk Victor's anger. Claire worried about the fallout, and he didn't like that she was so worried about Victor's approval. Claire needed more time to think. She hoped maybe Victor would come around. They ended the conversation with another kiss. At the Genoa City Athletic Club, Sally and Audra met up. Audra said she had a promising job prospect. Sally teased her about a possible engagement, but Audra said it wasn't that kind of news. She said that Victor had offered her a position at Newman Enterprises. However, Victor wanted her to lure Kyle away from Claire. Sally was shocked and warned Audra to refuse Victor's offer. Audra said that Victor had offered her control of a division. Sally still thought she should reconsider, but Audra admitted that she wanted revenge on Kyle too. Sally wondered whether Claire deserved to be collateral damage, but Audra brushed it off as doing Claire a favor. Sally warned her that Nate might find out, but Audra insisted he wouldn't. She assured Sally she wasn't really interested in Kyle. Sally warned Audra not to back herself into a corner, but Audra was convinced she had control. Meanwhile, Victoria visited Victor at the new ranch. They talked about the recent resolution to Sharon and Phyllis kidnapping. Victoria was concerned about Victor's negative opinion of Kyle. While Victoria praised Kyle as a stabilizing presence, Victor dismissed the Abbotts as a disaster. Victoria defended Claire's right to choose her own happiness and warned Victor not to sabotage it. He reminded her of Claire's trauma and insisted he didn't want his granddaughter to be hurt again. Victor acknowledged Victoria's work running the company and even praised Cole's leadership. Their conversation ended when Audra arrived. Victoria was surprised to see her and even more surprised to learn that Victor was offering her a job. After Victoria left, Audra laid out her terms. She wanted Victor to fund a new company for her, and she demanded full control. Victor agreed. General Hospital has cast the young and the restless alum Daniel Goddard. Goddard will portray Professor Henry Dalton in the ABC soap. TV Line reported that GH picked Goddard, who portrayed Kane Ashby on My and R, to come to Port Charles as the brand new character who works at PC University. First and foremost, it's an absolute pleasure to be back in daytime, he said. Goddard last appeared on Y and R as Kane in 2019. He revealed that he had come to terms with no longer acting. However, that all changed late last year when Michael Bruno, his previous manager, asked him to submit for a recast of Jack Brennan. While Goddard didn't get the role that Charles Measure left and Chris McKenna took over, his audition landed him a whole new character. It's the first audition I've had in many years, and it was a bizarre experience for me, he said. You feel like, in a way, you're going back to ground zero, back to the beginning of it all, even though you've been on a different soap opera for, like, 15 years. It was humbling, but it was more of an awakening, and in that moment, I felt extraordinarily vulnerable. A few weeks he didn't get his role, Goddard found out that GH planned to write a whole new character for him. It wasn't a recast. It was a new character, and I was so blown away, he said. I really felt like the timing was right, and I felt like it was meant to be. I can't begin to express my gratitude to Frank and everyone at General Hospital, and to Michael Bruno for really believing in me and being there. Professor Dalton teaches environmental physics at PCU. It seems there are some things in his past that he's done that have left him in a position of some form of investigation, Goddard teased. And from there, it's an absolute mystery to me. So far, Goddard has worked with Eden McCoy and Finola Hughes since he began filming. So far, there's no word on his first air date. Soap Hub will keep you informed when we learn more. Is Audra playing with fire on Young and the Restless? Victor Newman doesn't ask for favors on Young and the Restless, he orchestrates them. And right now, his latest scheme has Audra playing the most seductive game in town. Her mission? Break up Kyle and Claire before things get too serious between the heir and Victor's precious granddaughter. For a woman like Audra, this isn't work, it's foreplay. Audra is not just confident, she's cocky. She's danced this dance with Kyle before and knows exactly how to hook him. Sure, he claims he hates her, but hate has never stopped chemistry from catching fire. In fact, it might just add gasoline to the spark. For Kyle, Audra is chaos in heels, and for Audra, Kyle is an easy mark who doesn't have enough danger in his life. The seduction is almost too easy. What starts as a mission of manipulation could turn into a dangerous romance. Because Audra doesn't do anything halfway. If she falls for Kyle, it won't be soft, it'll be obsession dressed in silk. And if she starts craving something real with him, the whole scheme could collapse. The real wild card, Claire. Sweet on the surface, but fans know better. Claire has scars that don't stay hidden for long. If Audra becomes a threat, Claire may not fight fair. What if Victor's plan backfires? What if Audra doesn't just lose the mission but her life? In Genoa City, the heart isn't the only thing at risk, especially when you play with fire, flirt with danger, and try to steal the man of a woman whose family history is nothing but a long line of crimes, schemes, and murder. Claire may seem all sunshine and roses now, but it wasn't too long ago she lured her family to Aunt Jordan's house to kill them all. That darkness may be dormant, but is it truly gone? When push comes to shove, Claire's evil side may just come out to play. The Young and the Restless preview next week. Jill Abbott may be in a state of psychological crisis. Next week on The Young and the Restless, Jill Abbott finds herself in a whirlwind of emotional turmoil, and things are only getting worse for her. In a stunning development, it appears that Jill may be grappling with a psychological crisis, one that could change the course of her life. Meanwhile, Y&R celebrates a milestone for a beloved character, Esther Valentine, portrayed by Kate Linder, who is marking her 40th anniversary on the show. What started as a one-day role has turned into a long-lasting legacy. Linder looks back fondly on her time as Esther, recalling touching moments with the late Jean Cooper, who played Catherine Chancellor. Linder shared how a particular scene, where Esther performed "Everybody Ought to Have a Maid," while dressed as a French maid, holds a special place in her heart. The sweet interaction between Catherine and Esther is something Linder cherishes, as it reminds her of the deep bond the characters shared. As Esther continues to thrive in Genoa City, Linder hints at exciting potential storylines for her character. One idea that has sparked interest is the possibility of Esther taking her talents to Newman Enterprises, a move that would surprise many. Linder believes Esther is much smarter than people give her credit for, and her keen observations over the years could make her an unexpected asset in the corporate world. However, despite Esther's success at the Chancellor Mansion, romance has never been her strong suit. Linder still holds out hope for Esther to experience a passionate love affair. Could there be a new chapter of romance in her future? Only time will tell. Don't miss next week's dramatic developments on The Young and the Restless as Jill Abbott faces personal challenges, and Esther continues to captivate fans with her enduring presence on the show. On Friday, March 14, 2025, The Young and the Restless delivers intense drama as Sharon Newman and Phyllis Summers face their most terrifying ordeal yet. After being kidnapped and trapped in a dark, oppressive cell, the women find themselves on the brink of losing hope. Despite her usual calm demeanor, Sharon struggles to stay strong, while Phyllis, known for her resilience, is visibly shaken by the dire situation. Both women fear that time is running out and wonder if they will ever escape their captors. Just when all seems lost, a glimmer of hope emerges. Nick Newman and Billy Abbott launch a daring rescue mission, driven by a deep desire to save the women they care about. Their plan is risky and time is against them, but their determination never wavers. Using their skills and courage, the two men infiltrate the psychiatric clinic where Sharon and Phyllis are held. After an intense confrontation with the kidnappers, Nick and Billy successfully reach the cell. The emotional reunion is overwhelming. Sharon rushes into Nick's arms, grateful for his bravery, while Phyllis shares a heartfelt moment with Billy, realizing their bond has only grown stronger through the crisis. However, the danger is far from over. As Sharon and Phyllis find safety, Tracy Abbott falls into a new nightmare. Her efforts to uncover the truth lead her to a shocking discovery. Martin, a man posing as her brother Alan, is the mastermind behind the kidnappings. This revelation shatters Tracy's world, especially when she learns that her real brother died in Paris. Now, she must face Martin's deadly game while relying on the support of her family. The drama intensifies as Sharon and Nick's relationship takes a romantic turn, while Phyllis and Billy's connection deepens. Meanwhile, the Abbott family must unite to bring Martin to justice and protect their legacy. Will they succeed, or will Martin's sinister plans tear them apart? The Young and the Restless spoilers for the week of April 14 to 18 tease chaos, conflict, and complicated feelings. Major power plays are brewing in Genoa City, and no one will escape untouched. Get ready for explosive shifts in alliances, shaken trust, and hearts hanging by a thread. Victor Newman is stepping up with a bold plan, and Kyle Abbott is in the hot seat. The mustache wants to dismantle Kyle's world and fast. His goal? End Kyle's relationship with Claire before it gets serious. But Victor isn't working alone. He has his sights on Audra Charles as a partner in crime. A tempting career opportunity is part of the deal for Audra. However, she knows siding with Victor is risky business, especially since Nate Hastings won't take kindly to it. As Victor's plan gains momentum, Audra's choice could either make or break the entire scheme. As Victor and Kyle gear up for a battle of power and manipulation, Claire Newman begins to feel the shift. She notices strange behavior and hidden conversations. Her gut tells her something's off on both sides. Caught between Kyle's secrets and Victor's motives, Claire begins to feel used. With Jack Abbott joining the fight and working with Kyle to outsmart Victor at Jabot, Claire is stuck in the middle of a family war. One wrong move could pull her into a mess she never asked for. Meanwhile, Summer Newman finds herself dealing with a wave of emotions she can't control. Watching Kyle grow closer to Claire only deepens her jealousy. She starts questioning if she's really over him, or if she's just been pretending. As tension rises, Summer begins thinking about fighting for Kyle. Her decision may lead to heartbreak, and not just for her. Claire's happiness could be the collateral damage. Over in the Abbott house, Tracy Abbott is still recovering from a harsh truth. The Martin Laurent drama, also known as Elan, has left her shaken. The emotional blow isn't easy to handle, but thankfully Tracy isn't alone. Her family will step up to support her through the pain. As Tracy picks up the pieces, she may slowly rediscover her strength. After weeks of twists and trauma, Sharon Newman and Phyllis Summers may finally catch their breath. The chaos with Martin impacted everyone, but it hit Sharon and Phyllis especially hard. Now that the dust is settling, both women will try to find peace. This could be their moment to reflect, rebuild, and walk a more grounded path toward healing. Their individual journeys may even bring them to common ground. Sally Spectra finds herself at a troubling crossroads. Billy Abbott is getting close to Aristotle Dumas, and Sally isn't sure that's a good thing. She sees danger in the friendship, but confronting Billy could cause friction between them. Sally wants to protect him, but how far should she go? The week ahead will force her to decide whether to speak up or stay silent. Either choice comes with risk. With family rivalries erupting, relationships on edge, and secrets starting to surface, the stakes are higher than ever. The young and the restless will deliver fiery confrontations and emotional turning points this week. From Victor's shady moves to Sally's tough decisions, there's no shortage of drama on the horizon.